Let's go to Danielle Pletka of the AEI now. Danielle, I asked that question because this was not supposed to be a speech with an audience of one, Netanyahu talking to Obama or Secretary of State Clinton, that anyone who gets in Ahmadinejad's way could be the target of a nuclear attack.
I think that's right. I think what Dore outlined in terms of the threat that's perceived is very much not just a threat directed against Israel. It's really a threat directed against the rest of the Arab world as well. And I think even the Turks feel very nervous about the idea of an Iran with nuclear weapons. Don't forget, though, Ahmadinejad is going to be out of power next year. There's going to be a presidential election next summer in Iran. The big bad guy there is not him. He's just the talker. It's the supreme leader who has no term of office, who's most committed to getting the bomb, and he's never going to leave.
Let me ask you, and this is, I don't mean to get conspiratorial, I don't do that on this program. If Iran develops a nuclear weapon, given that they're allied with Venezuela, let's say, in our hemisphere, they can make that weapon or that technology for sale to other countries that don't like the United States. Is that a way to look at it?
I think it's important to underscore that none of that is conspiratorial. Iran has been very busy developing an axis through which it can export its terrorism. And it is very, very active in Latin America, not just in Venezuela, but also in Nicaragua. It has very substantial investments in Venezuela. My colleague, Roger Noriega, has written a great deal about some of Iran's secret installations in Venezuela, including some in the uranium-rich Roraima Basin. I mean, this is a very, very serious relationship. And if Chavez is reelected, which he probably will be if he steals the election again, then what we see is a real opportunity for Iran to actually be closer and target the United States, something that they have threatened to do repeatedly.
Would North Korea, and I think I know the answer to this one, would North Korea be interested in some kind of trade deal that would give them nuclear weapons with Iran?
Well, don't forget, North Korea already has nuclear weapons. They've detonated and tested nuclear weapons on multiple occasions. It is believed by the intelligence community that North Korea has been willing to share at least the technology and probably some nuclear materiel with countries like Libya under Gaddafi. But also in Syria, the nuclear reactor that was being built by North Korea that the Israelis struck in 2007 was probably very much financed by Iran, and they probably also had a greater interest as well. What we see is all of these countries working together because that's what works for them in the international community. There's a community of civilized nations, and there's a community of uncivilized nations. It's not surprising they would work together.
So this could be, these nuclear weapons could land in Cuba potentially, Venezuela potentially, Nicaragua potentially. They could end up in North Korea maybe being a better nuclear weapon than the one they're developing, which would put them in place to threaten South Korea. And I'm sure China wouldn't be very happy about it, but it seems like if Iran gets this nuclear weapon, this may realign things globally. And I don't want to blow this up bigger than it needs to be, and I don't mean to give you a play on words, but this is a real problem.
I think that one of the things that you can say very clearly to your viewers is, you know what? Let's just say that Iran isn't interested in sharing its nuclear technologies. Let's just assume that they want to keep it for themselves. What every country in the region has said, from Turkey to Saudi Arabia to Egypt to others, is if Iran gets a nuclear weapon, we're going to get one as well. So no matter what, we are going to see a massive proliferation of nuclear weapons in the hands of governments that, frankly, we don't want to see them in.